Political extremism strat. So you may be wondering why there is political extremism written behind me. You might associate already in your mind by seeing this video as political extremism as something that is either bad or is either good. Now, I want to talk to you about political extremism because political extremism teaches us a lot about people and how they act and how they live their life, basically. So, the things I want to break down in this video is why political extremism works, why there are so many people who are political extremism out there in the world that are living their life, and why do these people have such unwavering beliefs and self-confidence into what they believe and what ideas they believe in. Now, I'm going to relate all of this back to business, right? Because probably if you're watching some of my videos and you know my channel, that you know we relate a lot of things back to business, and we use these titles and these very simple examples so you can relate on a deeper level without having to know all the technical words or the technical language. And it's also something that is much more entertaining and enjoyable. So, what is a political extremist? So, in my opinion, a political extremist is someone who holds an unwavering confidence and ability into their political opinions and their opinions that they think about, right? So, what do I mean by that? Imagine the Trump election, right? You know, the American elections. You had a lot of political extremism on both sides. You had the Kamala woman and the Trump guy. I like neither of them, to be honest. You know, I wanted Bernie Sanders to win 2016, but game is game. You know, so you have Kamala and you have Trump here as well. And the people who were, and here let's say you have your political spectrum, right? You have far left and you have far right. And these people, you know, I'm going to draw an extra line. These people are what we call extremist. EXT, EXT. Now, let's look a bit at this graph. Here is your middle. Yeah, your center, like Macron in France, his kind of center. Then you had people who were Democrats their entire life and they're about here, Republican, they're about here. Now, generally, before in the 1960s when Kennedy was president, about 90% of the people, you know, were in this category. 90% of the people were in this kind of line. You know, maybe it moved, the circle moved a bit along the years, but generally 90% was along the line. I don't know, like fucking 4% was here, 4% was here, and maybe 0.1% of people were political extremists on neither one of the sides. But what changed? Because the dynamics changed as you probably use social media, and if you're a high IQ individual and you use Twitter, you're gonna see that political extremism has blown up over the past couple of years. And I'm gonna explain to you why it has blown up and why these people hold such a strong belief into their ideologies and political ideologies that it makes them completely unable to understand the other side and gives them an unwavering confidence in whatever they're defending. So, let's break down the 5 categories of political, or I don't know how many categories of political extremism. Firstly, you have repetition, right? Then, after repetition, you have belief, you have social circle, repetition, belief, social circle. What else do you have? What makes a good political extremist? You know? And no limits. No limits, right? And you might look at these things and find it a bit confusing. Like, what do I mean by repetition? What do I mean by belief, by social circle, and not having limits? So let's break it down. Firstly, let's start with repetition. I study a lot of propaganda, so I know this pretty well, but the basic concept of idea is that repetition, so rep, equals truth, right? Because if I go on the internet, and let's say all your favorite influencers get comploty behind this, and every one of them says that the earth is not round, it's not flat, it's square, right? It's fucking square. And if every big influencer, so Kim K, The Rock, Hollywood, everyone, just agrees, you know what? For shits and gigs, let's make people believe that the earth is a cuboid, right? People are easily influenced because this is just the society we live in. People don't have the skill of critical thinking and just take information at face value. Now, at the start, when these people start saying this, maybe 99% of people will say, you know what, fuck these Hollywood guys. The earth is round, is not square. I believe it 100%. But if you go down 10 years down the line, and this slide that the earth is still a cube, maybe only 70% of the people will still believe that the earth is round. And then you go down the line another 10 years and maybe only 40% of people will believe. And since you went 20 years, a new generation comes along, and you put them in school. And in school, they teach them with unwavering beliefs and repetition that the earth is square. So after 50 years of having this lie, like only 10% of the people will keep themselves sane and believe that the earth is round. Even if you believe that the earth is round, you're just gonna accept it, even though you know it's not true, but you're gonna accept it as a fact that the earth is square. So you don't have to be in a constant conflict with the media and the people who are above you. Now that you understand that repetition, just by saying something a multitude of time makes it truth. And this is the basis of propaganda. And this is why people become political extremism. Because people from other side of the aisle, I think this is how you say it, other side of the aisle say, well, my ideas are true and these ideas are false. Even though like fucking nuclear bombing Iran, right? If they just they tell you once, one time in a logical argument, we should bomb a foreign country in the Middle East, in a different continent than us, you're gonna be like, no, what the fuck, it's bonkers. But if they keep just like bombarding it to you, like you need to do this, we need to do this, this is the right step, and every voice around you, on your phone, on your social media, on your fucking Red Bull cans, bomb Iran. At some point, you're gonna start accepting it. And since you've heard it so many times, this is human nature, you're going to start believing it, and so you're gonna support that cause. Now, oh, fuck, listen to this. You have Shirley's, theory, media theory. You have, this is a good one. You have preferred, negotiated, let's just call it negotiated, and oppositional reading. So all of these are preferred, negotiated, and oppositional readings, right? And this basic media theory says that your preferred reading, so for example, let's say you support that the earth is round. Maybe a preferred reading would be someone telling you that, the earth is completely round, it's a circle, A negotiated reading would be someone telling you that the earth is an oval, so not round, it's oval, it's a bit stretched out, It doesn't deviate that far from your main idea, main objective. And then an oppositional reading would be that the earth is flat. It's a fucking blanket. It's a pillow, It's flat. And what I'm getting to is that political extremism is people who are or in oppositional or in preferred. Because if for 50 years, every day of your life, since the moment you wake up, to every piece of media you watch, to your parents, your social group, your friends, they tell you that the earth is flat. If everyone tells you this for 50 years, non-stop, everybody tells you the earth is square, then even if someone shows you pictures and takes you to space and shows you that the earth is round, you're not gonna believe them and you're gonna think that they're wrong, it's fucking CGI, something my ass. Now, how do you apply this to business? I know I went a bit off topic, but I just find it interesting. So how do you apply repetition to business? So what do I mean by repetition in business? Repetition in business is basically learning shit about business. Because if people keep repeating to you that the earth is a square or it's flat, and you keep repeating and repeating, even though it's a topic that you don't particularly have a big interest in, you're still gonna be a lot more invested in that topic because people are against your ideals or society is against your ideals. Now, what do I mean by repetition in business? Repetition in business is like the opposite, it is like the preferred reading is watching videos about business. Because if you want to get better in business and be a political extremist of business, you need to watch a lot of business videos, right? So imagine this is a line. This is a line of a year's time. And each line I'm drawing along this line is 10 business videos that you watch, So the first 5 lines here, so you watch 30 videos or something, you're gonna get mildly interested in business. And the more you watch, the more your interest is going to go up, right? So if you wanna get passionate and get very good at business, the simplest thing you can do is just to watch a fuckload of videos. Just watch videos non-stop, So like watching this video at this exact moment, or you can go watch a Hormozy video, or there's a bunch of like business YouTube channels on the internet that do this probably better than I'm doing at this point, but I'm learning and voila. Now, the more you watch these videos, the more you're going to be invested and become closer to your extremism goal. Because each video you watch is a piece of knowledge that is captured into your brain. And it's the same at school. You learn something by them repeating it to you. Like you're learning equation. 1 year you learn equation every day for 2 hours, or like 6 hours a week. You learn equations. Come on. We're talking about political extremism. Not about how you do business and political extremism. No, come. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to tell you. Now, what is political extremism? Little Q&A.
On Nazis?
Sure. Okay. Sure. Now, how do you apply political extremism to business? This is a very good question, no?
I guess you are extreme in business.
Exactly my point. Now, how do you get passionate in business? Because propaganda, as I explained before, but you were not here because you were masturbating at home, is that repetition, so rep, equals truth, right? And I told these people that political extremism, the more they learn something and the more something is told to them, the more truthful it becomes, the more they believe it. And how do you get better in business and you apply political extremism? Is imagine you're watching YouTube videos like this one. Amazing YouTube video. This is Ferrer. Say hi to everyone. Hi. And so you just go down the chain of ladders and watch more and more videos. And each line on this table is 10 videos of business you watch. And when you watch 30 videos, you get mildly interested in business. And the more you watch, the higher your interest, in business generally goes. And this is the same with politics. When people watch something or an ideology, something like abortions or immigration or something, the more they watch, no, but this is true. The more they watch, the more they get invested into that certain thing. And the thing I'm getting to, and the point I want to make, is the more you watch something and the more you learn about something, the more you're going to want to apply it. Because each video you learn, it's a piece of knowledge that is in your mind. And you're going to want to apply that piece of knowledge. And the more you learn, the more you're going to want to apply it. And the more you
learn, the more you earn.
Exactly. Tai Lopez, big quote. And so the basis idea is that you need to learn as much as fucking possible in order for you to be as much as invested into it and get to your end goal of extremism. So this was repetition. You want to help me clean the whiteboard?
No. It's your video, man.
Bob, Ferrer is off.
Make a call.
Make a coffee. There nu mai sunt capsule. Ia capsule de aici. Fă-mi și mie una. Now, belief. So, political extremism is also based on a high level of belief because they believe in their cause. Like as I gave you the example of the flat earth, round earth, and triangle earth, these people had the unwavering amount of belief that the earth was flat. Why? Because it just kept getting repeated to them. And belief in political extremism, like if the media is telling you something, for example, let's take we say that let's take this statement, right? Let's take all immigration is bad, right? In this statement, all immigration is bad, there are a lot of nuances. And political extremism, as I told you, they have no nuances. They're just at the edge and at the edge. And all immigration is bad is something that is highly subjective, has a lot of nuances, and cannot be defined in a singular way in a singular term. Now, these people have such an immense belief in this is because they just keep hearing it, you know? So this is the same with business. Because if you keep hearing and people talking about business, you're gonna wanna do business at some point. And the more business you do, you know, the more business you do, the more attached you're going to get to doing business and to doing things like this. And the higher your belief is going to get. And why is your belief going to get even higher the more you learn about business? Because firstly, Red Bull down, business is an area, right? It's an area of interest. Fuck, I don't know how to write. It's an area of interest for you, you know, like these people believe that all immigration is bad, and you believe that you believe in business, or you want to do business. So your belief and your self-conviction also comes from the amount of information you learn. And this is the same for political extremism. The more we repeat to them that immigration is bad, and the more you repeat or you watch, you know, like business videos, the higher your interest is going to become. And since your interest is higher, you're going to get more confident in doing business, right? Because the more you know about a certain subject, the more confident you are in teaching it or talking about it, right? So this is your YouTube videos. And the more you watch, the more you learn, the more you know, the more confident, right? Fident you get in that ability. Because these people watch so many CNN videos that they can start defending the statement that all immigration is bad. Now, your belief can be the same because they got confident by watching so many videos and learning things from CNN, from the news, people telling them and giving them different ideas. Now, if they follow a train of thought that is logical, the more confident you get, the more self-belief you're gonna have in your businesses, right? So this is the same thing. The more you learn, the more confident you get. The more confident you get, the more self-esteem you have on yourself. The higher the self-esteem, the higher your belief, the higher your business belief is going up. And this is the same with political extremism, as I told you before. So they just learn something until they're confident enough to argue with people. Even though political extremists don't argue, they just yell at the top of their lungs. But they yell at the top of their lungs because they know that they are correct. And this is the same with business. If you know you are correct in what you're doing and people shit on you and say, you shouldn't do this, but you know deeply inside your head, like unrationally, that you are correct, you're still gonna keep doing it because your self-belief, if you're confident in your subject, is gonna be much higher in the train of thought and how you act on decision than someone else's opinion who's here. So your opinion is gonna be on top and their opinion is going to be on the bottom. Why? Because you are more confident in the subject, you have more belief in the subject, because you know more about the subject. Because you repeated the subject, you learned the subject, and you think about the subject. So, belief and repetition out of the question. Now, let's go to social group. Because political extremism doesn't start with only one person. Political extremism runs in the family or in the friend group, right? Generally, as I told you before, the preferred, the negotiated, and the oppositional reading, social people are just preferred readings, right? Readings and preferred discussions. Because the more the social group talks to them about this certain subject, the more invested they get and the more validation they get about the subject. And the more validation they get about the subject, the more belief they get in it as well. And so if someone, let's say one guy supports all immigration is bad, right? All immigration is bad word, right? And you put this guy in a group of 10 people, and you make him hang out for 6 months, right? And these people have the exact opposite opinion. This guy is going to go from all IM is bad to all is fucking good. Okay, you understand the idea. So he's going to go from all is bad and all is good. Why? Because of the kind of people he hanged around with. Now, you can apply the same concept to business, because business is a very social activity. I know most of you think that business is just being closed down in your room for 16 hours a day in front of a computer screen, and yes, there's some truth to that. But business is also social, because business is very much more about knowledge than application. And when you talk to people who are interested in business like you, who, repeated things, self-beliefs, and they have belief in their business, the more they know. So if you hang around with more people who have businesses, right? The more you're going to validate your ideas, the better your beliefs are going to get, the more confident you're going to become, right? And so by hanging around with people who do a lot of business, it's your preferred reading. So you become more extremely attached to the idea of doing business or doing business as a whole. Why? Because business always helps, and hanging around with people who have the same interest as you pushes you in the right direction. If you believe all immigration is bad and you stay with people who think this the same, your idea is going to get reinforced and your beliefs are going to get reinforced as a cause of that, right? And this is the same with business. If you talk business ideas with other business people, they're going to reinforce your ideas because they think, you're right, you're true. You're going to get some knowledge out of it. You're going to have some shape of mind, and your beliefs are going to get stronger. Your convictions are going to get stronger, and your execution is also going to get stronger. Because the more business people you know, the more they're going to know about the subject, what they're doing, and what they're talking about. So overall, you're going to get better at business and whatever you're doing just by hanging out in a social group or a social setting like political extremism that validates and gives you a preferred reading on your ideas, on your interest. Now, the last thing I'm going to head on is, let me write it again because it's small and it's the last one, it's important, is no limits. Right. Political extremism has no limits because political extremism can be defined in a multitude of ways. But one of no limits, let's take, for example, terrorist attack. I know, horrible thing happened. But most of these people are extremism or in religion or in a political ideology that they're trying to defend. And by defending this ideology, they do heinous crimes. And by doing these heinous crimes, they show us that these people will sacrifice life in prison or their life as a whole just to uphold and defend their idea. And this is something that is very powerful that political extremism have, because they don't have any limits at all. They're not bound by any limitation to do anything or think about anything, right? And these people have no limits whatsoever. Like a guy who supports all immigration is bad is going to punch in the face another guy that has a oppositional opinion than his, so he's going to fight someone. He's not going to fist fight someone because he bumped to him on the street, but he's going to fist fight someone random that he doesn't know because he has an altering opinion from him. And this is what I mean by political extremism, and that they have no limits. So how do you apply this to business? Big bomboclat business. In business, you have to understand that you have ethics, ethics, codes, morals, like basic business conduct. And if you want to be successful in business, you need to have no limits on what you're going to do. You need to fire someone, fucking fire him. You shouldn't be, let's not fire him, let's not make me look bad. You shouldn't have any limits in your business. You should be limitless. You shouldn't be fucking ruthless. And this is one skill that political extremism have, because punching a guy in the face is absolutely ruthless. And you should be your same with your business. You should thrive to crush your competition. You should strive to be the best. And you shouldn't put any limits on yourself. Because having limits, for example, you wouldn't work 16 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days, 7 days, 8 days a week, if you didn't have any limits. If you have no limits, then you can work 16 hours a day for 8 days a week. If you have limits, you're not going to be able to do this. And this is a power that they have, because some political extremists will argue for you for 9 hours on a singular topic for 9 hours. You cannot even sit down and watch a 40-minute video, let alone argue for 9 hours about some really fucking shitty topic. And the reason they can do this is because they're, one, emotionally invested. So, emotionally invested, because they take it as a true value, and truth holds emotion. And so you need to be extremely invested and have no limits in your business whatsoever for you to be able to succeed in whatever you're doing. Because from political extremism, we can learn quite a bit of things. Because most people who are political extremism follow an idea that they think is right, or an ideology that they think is right no matter what, and people are wrong in any circle of the way for defending the oppositional idea. And they have no limits to what they're going to do to impose their views and their opinions. And you should do the same exact things, but with business. I know it doesn't translate extremely well, but having high beliefs, repeating yourself for you to get this idea, having good social circles around you of people a network of people which you can discuss these things to, and having no limits is some skills that very few people have in business. So this is why you should thrive to be more like a political extremist, but in business. Because if you're extreme in business, you're gonna win at some point, right? Because business is more flexible than politics. And political extremism generally win the ladder, because it's the one who can argue the most, knows the most about this thing, can talk the most about a certain fucking subject. And generally, the people who know more, who are more important, have the higher self-belief, win in the media's eyes or in the eyes of society, because or they win an argument, or they win the highest stage on television, they get really famous. So it depends what your definition of winning is, but political extremism wins generally rather than normal people who are in the center, who have nuanced views of things and opinions.